Hi, my name is Marina, and today I'll be walking you through the Trilogy Mentors online platform to show you how to teach history online. So I like to warm up students before we really get into the session by sharing videos, and the best way to do that is using the screen sharing platform. Before I even into the screen share portion, I like to have my video pulled up already in another tab. So then I'll head over to the column on the left and click the screen share button and click share my screen. So then it should pop up for the student. Then I will head over to the tab I had opened, and with the video pulled up, I'll just go ahead and play it and watch it with the students. For this video, I picked a crash course video from their world history playlist. You can find TED Talks, other crash course videos, and even lectures from universities if you really want to step up the level of instruction. I will continue on with the lesson by incorporating some sort of game or online practice. And I am going to share a link with the student through the chat box. And it's a great website for geography practice. And I will ask them to open it up and use their share screen option so I can watch them practice online. This is what the student should see. This is a great resource that you can use for practicing geography anywhere in the world. And we'll have them scroll down and be on practice mode. And then they can start hovering over countries and answering the questions that appear in this little box. I'll watch them and talk them through it, kind of giving them hints if they really do struggle with geography. But if this is something that they're confident in, you can even go into strict test mode where they only have one chance to answer the question correctly. And it's awesome for repetition and really memorizing geography so they can kind of put the pieces together when they're studying a point in history and where it occurred in the world. After geography practice wraps up, we're going to head over to the writing board so we can start on some writing practice. I'll often find a sample prompt online, whether that be from College Board's AP resources or any lower level history course. Sometimes I'll even make up a prompt, but for the sake of practicing classroom files usage, I'm going to upload a screenshot into the classroom files chat and have the student open it up so we can go over it together. So we're going to focus on one of the questions in this prompt and move on to the writing board. Question 4 is asking us to focus on a political ideology. And what I often have students do is focus on writing a thesis statement. Now, the thesis is super important because you're setting up your entire essay with one or two sentences. So we're going to come over here to the writing board and start working on our draft. But before we even get to writing, I will have students pull out keywords from the prompt and kind of outline them for me. I just want to see how they set up their prompt and figure out what they need to be focusing on. I will have them list out the ideologies the prompt is asking for, how many they're asking for, and if it's argumentative or just an essay where you're explaining things. This prompt is an argumentative prompt, so I definitely want to emphasize that with the students. So they need to take a stance in their writing. You can use this space to add more. You and the student can bounce ideas off of each other. There are some great features that you can use in this writing board. You can underline, bold, and italicize keywords you want your students to focus on. If you want to add anything to what the student is working on without disrupting their flow of thought, you can change the color with the color tool. If your student needs to use this thesis statement for a part of their homework or any assignments, or just for reference in the future, the student can use the copy to clipboard tool and carry it over to any other document. So, following the writing exercise, I like to incorporate more visuals for the students. This is a great way to help attach facts to their memory. So, I'm going to transition over to the drawing board. So now that I've moved over to the drawing board, I like to have students work on creating a timeline. That way they can visualize what they need to be focusing on for this period of history and how all of these different pieces fit into one another. So sometimes when you just recite dates and facts over and over again, students will mix things up. So setting up the dates on a timeline will really help students succeed in memorizing important dates. Sometimes I'll help students set this up because as mentors, we're often more familiar with the platform. So I'm going to walk you guys through it so you can walk your students through it. To set up the timeline, I like to use the pencil over here, and I'm just going to go ahead and draw a line for the student. If you need a longer line and you don't want to break up your timeline, you can adjust the width and the height of your board. That way, you can keep extending it and just scroll over if you need to add more. Next, just to keep things neat, because the pencil tool can sometimes be a little squiggly if you're trying to write on a laptop touchpad, I'm going to insert various text boxes. That way, I can make the dates very neat and more legible for the students. And I'll often have them do it once I do a few examples, and I want them to fill in the timeline. But for now, I'm going to show you guys how to do this. I'm going to add another date in the timeline by clicking on the text box option and inserting it at whatever point I want to. So, to wrap up the lesson, I like to head back over to the video screen so I can discuss things further with the student. So, with the video screen, I like to talk to the students about what they learned, have them reverberate everything that we went over in this lesson, and just ask any questions that they may have pertaining to their homework, assignments, or just anything they found interesting. I also like to use this time to set up our next appointment if you need to. Ask if they had any technological issues. That way we can figure that out with the Trilogy Mentors platform and just wrap up the session.